Hey everyone, welcome back to the Push Forward podcast. I'm your host, Alex, and today we are going to talk about mindfulness. I know for you entrepreneurs, you creators out there, having some peace of mind to get through your days and weeks without all the stress and distractions is really hard to do. I know because I'm in that world and I understand how difficult it is to run multiple businesses, be in a place where you are constantly creating a ton of valuable content. It requires so much creativity and thoughtfulness. You're talking to dozens of people and different teams. You're worried about the messaging. You're worried about engagement, making sure that everyone on your team is following up with your clients in real time. You also don't want to ruin your brand by aligning yourself with certain brands or creators or opportunities. So think about, sometimes you get an opportunity where a sponsor will reach out to you, and you creators know this, where they'll reach out to you and say, hey, we have an opportunity for you to work with this product or service, and we're going to pay you X for you to do Y. It's easy sometimes to, in the moment, say, oh, sure, let's go, because it's money. But you have to be thoughtful. And to be thoughtful, I think one of the things that you can do is to practice mindfulness. Practicing mindfulness for the busy entrepreneur creator will help you stay creative, will help you stay healthy. And so to me, it's really important to do that. And there are times, different seasons of my life, where I find it more difficult than others. So let's define mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present and engaged in every moment, aware of all your thoughts, feelings, sensations, without judgment or distraction. It's a mental state achieved through techniques such as meditation, breathing exercises, or simply paying close attention to the present experience. So for me, I break those up into different areas throughout my day. I have the time where I'm doing meditation, other times where I may be doing breathing exercises, but ultimately it's being there in the moment. So every time I'm talking to a staff member, someone on my team, if I'm talking to anyone in my family, my kids, my wife, a neighbor, my mom, really anyone, your clients, you make an immense effort to really be there in the moment and without judgment, because I feel like this is something that we all naturally do. I can only speak for myself, but I know there are studies to show that when you're in the moment and listening to someone and you're already thinking about what your response is going to be, you're really not being mindful. And so for creators, because in the world of entrepreneurship or being an influencer, anyone who's creating anything, it's really difficult because you've got so many things coming at you all day long, right? And there are different people asking different things of you. Obviously, this is a position that you chose to be in, so that is a good thing. But the best work comes when you are at your best, both physically and mentally. You make the best decisions then. And so this is why I want to stress the importance of mindfulness at its highest level. This is not something I learned overnight. It was something that it took me many years to really buy into it, because I thought, hey, I just get things done. That's how I work. But it's not really about that. And as I get older and work with different people that I've met throughout my life, I've felt like, wow, I can't believe I spent so much time doing it this way, when boy, there was a shorter, not even a shortcut, but just a better way of doing it. And in the case of creating content, creating products, you are putting so much time to obviously create something that someone on the other end is going to hopefully enjoy. And so if you're not truly in the moment doing it, it doesn't work as well. So there is something called the stress creativity paradox. And it's basically, if you think of like one of those things where we call a double-edged sword, because on one hand, stress can spark creativity. I know this is true for me. And it's the push that turns a blank canvas into art, or a concept into something bigger. For me, it definitely works that way. When I have my back against a wall, that stress pushes me to be more creative. But on the other hand, too much stress can stifle my creativity. And also lead me to burnout. And I can also say I've experienced that. So it's crucial to strike that balance. And the stress creativity paradox is something that is real. So some people will say, well, I don't work at all well under pressure. And if I did work under pressure, I wouldn't be able to be creative. That's something that you need to know about yourself. And I always ask different people about, especially entrepreneurs, creators, leaders, is, how much do you really know about yourself? Have you done behavioral assessments like a DISC profile or a cognitive assessment? These things have definitely helped me learn more about myself, but also my team, what makes them tick. Right? If they're what we would call like a typical type A personality, well, what makes them move? What are their triggers? How can we work better within teams, communication wise? These are all things that are important for you to be mindful of in real time. So if you're mindful about yourself and others at that level, you will be that much more creative, and you'll be able to execute much faster. What about the role of physical health? Well, physical health isn't detached from mental well-being. They're both two sides of the same coin. Exercise boosts your endorphins, sleep rests your mind. I know this because I used to go years on 2-3 hours of sleep a night and think nothing of it, right? Always did exercise, enjoyed doing the exercise, but for me, sleep was like, hey, you know what? Leave it for when I'm dead one day. And it was just such a silly thing because it wasn't until I got older that I understood the importance. And then of course, balanced diet, which provides those nutrients for your brain. So these days I try to make sure that I'm taking certain vitamins that, well, in my early years, in my 20s, didn't matter, right? But now I want to make sure that things that I lack in certain foods, I can take it with a vitamin. So, perhaps seeing a nutritionist, someone who really understands the science based on your body type, based on your goals, is something that if you dive deeper into it, you can see how these factors will influence your creative output. So that's, again, part of being mindful. Now, daily mindful practices. So in this episode, I'm not going to get too deep into the meditation and the journaling that can help you balance this. But what I will say is that on a daily basis, I am journaling. I'm spending a lot of time planning on Saturday, on Sunday for the week ahead, and of course for the months ahead, and making sure that I'm not just saying yes to every meeting that comes across my desk, but being mindful and understanding what's the most important things in the moment. And I may just have to say no to every meeting that coming week because I have to focus on a number of other things that are more important. And again, I understand the push and pull, being an entrepreneur, being having multiple side hustles, and especially in the creator world where you just have to keep churning out new content. Right. And so it's hard. It's hard to do because if you're not creating more content, more quality content, be it, video or audio, blog posts for your SEO, if you're not doing these things, guess what? You're not going to make money. And so your business needs you to continuously create. And so there is some pressures there. But even if you take 5 minutes out of your day to do some deep breath exercises, that can go a long way. There are obviously many mindful apps like Calm and others where you can do meditation. I'm not even a fan of that. For me, I simply pull up some music on Spotify that is lo-fi or that I can really concentrate and clear my mind. And that 5-10 minutes of meditation can be so powerful and decrease the stress. And it's like a reset button that by the time I open my eyes, it's like I've gone to a new universe. I've hit reset and I feel great about everything. And then, of course, I'm journaling. I can't stress enough how important it is for you to put it down on paper. Now, if you want to do it on your phone, on an app like Trello or your notes, that's fine. And different things work for different people. I don't think it's one size fits all, which is why I'm not telling you which apps or tools to use. There's hundreds of tools to use out there. But for me, it's as simple as journaling, putting it on paper, reviewing it over and over and over, and then going into every day, every week, being super mindful and making sure that no one pulls me out of that. Because look, let's face it, we're in a world where everyone, every company, every brand, every influencer, even, we're in that world. All of us entrepreneurs, you are trying to say to people, hello, can I get your attention? Come absorb my content. And so we are part of the problem too, right? Because as I say to my children, is that if you're not creating, then you're only consuming. And if you're only consuming, then you're not doing anything that's so important in your life. And if that's your goal, that's okay. There's no, shade at people who want to do that. But again, if I'm talking to you here, entrepreneur, business owner, creator, coach, then it is your responsibility to continuously create and being mindful of what other companies, other brands are trying to do to your time. Because every time you get on the web, every time you get on the phone, there's no way that you can be mindful because they're trying to pull and absorb, suck all that time out of your day to consume what they've created. So for me, I'm going to always spend the majority of my time creating different experiences for different clients, for my team, for my family, for myself. And it's really that focus that gets you to a level where you're constantly putting out really great work. Now, for the modern creator, technology isn't always the enemy, right? Obviously, if you're a creator, you're in that world where social media plays a big role. If you are even just creating blogs, for example, or YouTube videos, you probably need a lot of technology, which then can consume a lot of time. So what I recommend doing in that case is that you outsource a lot of this work. You outsource it to people that you bring onto your team so that you can focus on still creating the craft, creating the product, and then let them worry about all these tools that can be so time consuming and not as enjoyable as most would like it to be, right? So, mindfulness, listening, and communication. This one is huge because, we absorb so much information and inspiration from around the world, around us, right? And listening allows us to filter this information consciously, while helping us connect deeper with our craft and with people. So, listening to your team, communicating with your clients, with your brands, this is like super important. And like I said, this would come out in your daily journaling. And if you're doing that kind of planning, you know that the communication is going to be clean. Something I'll ask clients and employees is say, like, look, where do you want to meet me? Do you want to meet me on WhatsApp? Is it email? Is it via Zoom, face to face for a coffee? But let's get clear because everyone wants something different. So for me, it's my goal to make sure that I meet everybody at least halfway, if not further, to make sure that they're having a great experience with me. I did touch on this at the beginning, but I'm going to hammer it on in this again because I've struggled with this for years. Is the importance of saying no. Yes, opportunities are crucial, but knowing when to say no is equally important. Overcommitting is a surefire way to mental exhaustion. And, I always talk about opportunities and that come my way as I grow the business. There are obviously always opportunities knocking at my door, but sometimes they're masked as opportunities. And in essence, they're not opportunities. They're just other people or companies, organizations trying to partner with what I do or with our team here at the Push Forward podcast. But really, it's not an opportunity. It's an opportunity for them to sell me on something. So you have to be very careful and protect your time because your time is all you've got. And if you give up your time, you will not have as much freedom to do what you want to do. So that is very important when it comes to being mindful. All right. That's it for today's episode. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you found this episode valuable. Until next time, keep pushing forward in your content game. And if you like the podcast, subscribe, give us a review, share it with a friend.